We'll call the Selectmen's meeting Monday, the 3rd of April, 5:30 p.m. to order. The first item of business will be to approve a set of minutes. So the first one is the minutes of the regular meeting of March the 6th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 6th.
I'll second.
I have some change. I have one change.
All right.
Under other business, Suzanne, you with me? Okay, sorry. Underneath where it says Selectman Ward, it's the last one. It also should say that Selectman Shoemaker thanks Mr. Ward for his help in the tax collector's office, but requested information if he was going to be continuing that part-time position in the tax collector's office and how long. Mr. Ward responded that he and Mr. Griswold had not hadn't discussed it yet.
Okay, you can read that. Sure.
I can write it out for you if you want. Sure. Yes, I write it out.
Anything else? All right. Then we can modify the motion to approve as amended by Ms. Shoemaker.
Second.
Okay. And a second on that amendment? Martha, you want to do it?
I'll second it. Sure,
Okay.
I got Martha.
Oh, I thought you made the motion, Tim. That's why I seconded it.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The 8th of March, a special meeting. This was the executive session one. Have a motion on that one,
I'll
please.
make a motion to accept the minutes from the March 8th, 2023 special selecting meeting.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion on that one?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next one is the special meeting of the 20th, having to do with the CWPM proposal.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting on March 20th, 2023.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And last, the special meeting of the 27th, which concerned itself with a number of budget things and the construction contract with AI engineers.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the special meeting on March 27th, 2023.
And I'll second, but I have a change.
Okay.
Last page under where it's the paragraph about the purchase of the rifles.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to state that I also stated that I thought public viewpoint should be heard on this topic. That was.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we can vote on the minutes as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We don't have any communications.
Oh, wait, public comment.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, public comment. Anyone like to make public comment? Ms. Thompson.
Are you taking public comment on the phone?
We will in a minute. We're getting people in the hall here first.
So Kim Thompson, Old Lyme resident, regular member of the Board of Finance. I'm here to speak to you today regarding the budget allocation for the purchase of patrol rifles for our local police. I understand and am in full support of the desire for our community and police to be as safe as possible. However, we as elected officials of the town of Old Lyme have a duty to ensure that the taxes collected from our citizens are allocated in a responsible way towards expenses that add value to our town. So rather than make a moral or ethical argument about the increasing number of guns present in our community, I would like to discuss this purchase with you in terms of what value it does or does not add. I'd like to define value as the quality that the purchase adds divided by the cost. In this case, the rifles cost $11,000, and we need to define the quality that it adds. I have searched literature that is published in peer-reviewed journals by government agencies, by children's hospitals that deal with the youngest victims of gun violence, and statements by police officers in departments where patrol rifles have been deployed, as well as statistics published on gun violence that happens in schools. What I found is the following. In a study of police with military weapons conducted in Maryland over a 5-year period compared to police units without those weapons, robust statistical analysis found that there was no difference in violent crime, officers feloniously killed, officers accidentally killed, or officers assaulted. In fact, the study found no meaningful difference in any of the outcomes it assessed. The overall conclusion of the study was that there is no detectable public safety benefit from the addition of military-level weapons. The Department of Justice outlines benefits and drawbacks to adopting patrol rifles. Potential advantages that it outlines include protection against superior firepower, greater deterrence power, enhanced response to active shooters, protection of the public, and improved response to the threat of terrorism. Disadvantages outlined include a greater danger to the public, higher friendly fire casualties, increased training requirements, and budget constraints. An officer interviewed for Government Technology states the following. Patrol rifles are great for mid-distance or long distance, but most police shootings are at fairly close range. In close quarter situations like school or office malls, a shotgun patrol rifles for local police is 0. Is it reasonable to expect our Old Lyme officers to respond to a terrorist threat? Probably not. At worst, it's negative. Additionally, all these articles and others state that the implementation of clear and robust protocols is vital. Other than knowing that communities around us have these weapons, I have not heard anyone on the select board or in the police department report in-depth conversation with those communities to understand why they made the decision to add these weapons to their police. What the difference between the needs of those towns and the needs of Old Lyme are, and what their protocols are and how they were developed. If my children came to me wanting to make a significant purchase because everyone else has it, would not be an argument I would entertain. I agree with the police and the select board that the school shootings are horrific events that happen far too often. I am not proposing that we as a town do nothing to confront that reality. Mass shootings in schools are rare events, making up 0.7% of all incidents of gunfire in schools. However, firearms are the #1 cause of death for children. So I suggest that investment in strategies that might prevent children from having access to firearms is a much more valuable investment of taxpayer dollars. Investing thousands in a program that adds 0 value makes no sense. Investing in data-backed initiatives would reduce the likelihood that a child brings a gun to school and address the broader threat that firearms pose to the health and safety of our children. Every Town for Gun Safety recommends that community efforts to help families use safe storage techniques for their firearms make a meaningful impact on death and injury. It's estimated that if just half of households with children that contain at least one unlocked gun switch to locking all their guns, 1/3 of youth gun suicides and unintentional deaths could be prevented. Furthermore, only 1 in 3 gun owners in states with child access prevention laws, Connecticut included, know that their state requires the secure storage of guns. As a state trooper town, Old Lyme already spends a significant amount of our budget with the state police, and in the rare event of an incident that required these weapons, the state police would also respond. Therefore, the value of this purchase to the community is low, and these funds would have a much more value to taxpayers allocated elsewhere or left in their pocket. I urge the Board of Selectmen to revisit its inclusion in the 23-24 budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I brought copies with citations.
Okay.
Kim, if you have a copy, you
I
get
brought
one. Thank you.
Anyone else? On the phone, there was someone who wished to speak.
Yes, on the phone. May I take 2 minutes?
All right. State your name.
This is George Frampton. since you put my position on Tontamahague Road on the agenda for this meeting later this evening, and I didn't have any notice of that and I'm traveling, I wanted to take just 2 minutes to state that position myself, given the inaccuracies that sometimes arise at these meetings or in the press when it's described by others. Our position is very simple. We prove through the town's own documents that we own Tontamahague Landing, all of it. In fee simple, it's private property. The town, however, stonewalled us and the public for 14 months before admitting that we're right. Then the town announced it doesn't have to make any difference because it can still tell us whatever they want us to do on our own property since our back driveway is a public highway. That's not true. We've now proven, again based on the town's own documents, that there is no public highway through our property. Whatever the nature of the right-of-way that was created in 1701 to the mouth of Tontamahague Brook, it was extinguished by deed in 1725 by the owner of all of that property. A substantial part of the original route was certainly destroyed by 1905 by a dam, and it's now inundated under a large ice pond. There's been no public highway here for 300 years. And in any event, the original right-of-way didn't go down our back driveway. Contrary to some of the statements that have been made by Selectmen recently that somehow proposed mediation or discussions have been made by them and we've been unresponsive, to the contrary, we have, in writing, several times over the last 6 months, proposed binding arbitration, legal arbitration of this issue. We've proposed mediation and discussions. The town has consistently refused arbitration or mediation of the issue or any discussion based on the integrity of the facts, presumably because it's aware that no independent third party is ever going to agree with such a spurious theory about a public highway, never before voiced in history as far as we know, in the face of hundreds of contrary town, state, and federal documents, all of which prove the opposite. So our plan is this. We continue to voluntarily welcome pedestrian access on our back driveway so people can walk to the pond and the river and enjoy the natural setting. There's no legal requirement for us to do this. We plan to go forward with more than is legally required. At this point, however, anything the town seeks to do and make us do on our private property without our agreement is going to require either further discussions between us or legal action on their part. We remain willing to talk at any time to town officials if they're willing to talk to us based upon the actual facts of the matter with a basic amount of integrity. Finally, a reminder, and then I'll end. While the town has no legal right to reconstruct a right-of-way eliminated 300 years ago, should it want or try to do so, or engage in discussions about doing this, that effort is going to involve the private property of at least 3 of our neighbors, and perhaps more, through whose land the original right-of-way also traveled. So if that's the town's plan, that's going to be a somewhat more complicated and interesting discussion than we've had to date. So thank you for allowing me to go ahead and do this. I'm not sure I will try to be on later, but since I'm traveling, I may not be able to do that, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We'll move to communications, of which there are none.
Well,
But
we had communication one with Michael Foliano, who gave us some updates on that House Bill 6633.
okay.
I just would like to encourage that we have Michael come to a meeting to explain that. I know that the Affordable Housing Commission voted to take a position of opposition to the House bill, but I really think that we should have some more open discussion about that because it does seem it's going to affect us greatly if that bill passes, and maybe we as selectmen should also write a letter of opposition to that bill to back it up.
Okay, we can ask him to come to our next meeting.
And then the other option is that we did have communications from Rachel Gaudio on our meeting that we had 3 weeks ago, and that she would like some answers to that meeting, dealing with personnel issues.
Right.
So I think that we owe her that. I know Matt worked out some information on that, and I think we should get back to her as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think we would do an encompassing measure, not just for her, but for the parties involved as well. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Turning to appointments, we have under the American Disabilities Act Committee, we have Catherine Malacca, who seeks to be a member of that committee. Her predecessor was also a member of that committee, and so she is being suggested. It's a small committee, but they do actually do some good work, so could entertain Katie Balaka.
I'll make a motion to appoint Katie Balaka to the ADA committee to fill an unexpired regular term.
I will second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the Halls Road Improvement Committee. We have Jane Ungermack of Neck Road, O-Line, wishes to be a member of that committee. She's worked with Edie Twining on the committee, helping write proposals and trail grant and so forth. So she's also faculty at the University of Connecticut School of Medicine, and she's done research for projects over a long time and would likely be a very good addition.
I'll make the motion to appoint Jane Ungermack to fill an unexpired regular term on the Halls Road Improvement Committee.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good. And talking about old business, the Halls Road Improvement. As you know, we approved the contract for AI engineers, and so they will ultimately be starting their work. I know, Edie, is there anything you want to add, or just it's a procedural thing? As soon as they have the returned document, then we'll be ready to go. And that there is funds for the actual work as well as the contingency amount.
We're actually going to have a kickoff meeting on Wednesday.
Oh.
I will get that to you.
Oh, what time is that?
We're going to go for 2 o'clock, I believe it is.
2 p.m.?
And I'm going to talk with Michelle and make sure we have a room.
Okay. Wednesday at 2. Will that be in this room?
Yeah, either mezzanine or here. But I tell them.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Soundview, nothing to report at this time. I imagine now that the weather is improving, some of the last items will be taken care of in terms of some of the punch list items. The Soundview sewers, we have had discussions with the DEEP concerning a $17 million forgivable loan. I haven't had a very recent update on that, but we're hoping that if that is a reality, then this project may be able to get moving again. So we will hope for that. Yes.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
There was an article in the Connecticut Examiner that day that you had mentioned it, or there was a meeting. But then the next day there was an article or a piece of opinion that I believe Kate followed with Devin Carney, talking about the fact that, whoa, hold up, we're not promised that yet, or that amount. So I just wondered, it's 2 viewpoints, so I'm trying to figure out where do we stand, or where are we in the middle? Because his viewpoint was there's no guarantee, and if so, it would only be up to possibly 50%, but not necessarily. Nowhere did he mention the 17.
Well, it was mentioned I was on the phone, which was not a good connection, and so it was described as 14 to 17 million. We were hoping for the higher figure, of course. So I think until we get a letter, it can't be construed as approved. As I understand it, the DEP worked with the EPA on a new program here. So I think it was at the DEP's urging that this came to be discussed. Until all the various parties who have a stake in it agree, need to sign off, it is not official. But certainly, I don't think they would have brought it to the table if they didn't think it had a strong possibility of success. So,
But your understanding is it's for the full 17 million?
No, it was a range, and we kept repeating 17 million. So I think the 50% number was another element that I hadn't heard. So I think we have to understand how the pieces fit together, and hopefully this would make the very big difference that we need to make it work. So I don't know the next step. I think the WPCA is meeting Wednesday, and we'll see what they have some newer information. But I don't think it was a commitment at the time of the telephone call. It was a novel concept, and everyone was hoping it would happen.
Okay. Keep us posted.
Yes, that would be very important. Next is the senior center expansion. The appropriation of $19,500 was made by the Board of Finance to take care of incidental bills between now and when this project actually comes before the voters of the two towns. The update has a gross figure of $5.5 million. Some of the expenses have already been paid, so the net amount would be lower than that in terms of future funding. So we're moving forward to probably during the summer. I expect we would be looking for possibly a referendum in O-Lyme. I think Lyme being smaller, they might do it via a town meeting. The idea would be that the two towns would approve the overall project, and then they would also approve funding their individual shares. I think similar to other larger projects, or even some of the projects we're involved with Lyme, O-Lyme has been the lead and has written the checks and kept track of things, and they would make their contributions, but that O-Lyme would be the primary one to handle the finances on it. So the architectural drawings should be ready for going out to bid by the first part of July, I understand. So we need to figure out just what the timing would be to have the authorization by the two towns synchronized with that. And that'll be something that the Selectmen and the Board of Finance will need to work on in both towns. So I think there'll be a discussion with public information session, if you will, just to give everybody a good look at where we are and where we want to go, and that would be prior to any request for financing. But things are moving along with the engineering work. Jerry, I don't know if there's anything more I should say, but...
No, I mean, this is just moving along so nicely that we hope that the towns can decide how they want the voters to proceed. And we were just waiting Board of Finance to actually notify us whether or not we're going to be able to. So, but we're excited, and hopefully if things really move along the way we hope them to, we might be able to break ground after putting out to bid, negotiating contracts with possible building contractors, maybe October or November, toward the end of the year.
Yeah. So the acid test will be what the bids come in at. We try to guess as much as possible, but until we actually get bids in, that's just what it is. So.
I just want to, on behalf of the committee, the building committee, again, thank you for your support. It's been unwavering.
Thank you. The Ferry Road sidewalk, that we hope the work will commence after Labor Day. That job, this spring, there were a couple of wrinkles that we straightened out, and so I think we're on track to do that. We'll be talking to the Board of Finance tomorrow about the financing and so forth, but I think we're pretty well ready to have that project commence. And again, when I talked to the engineer, he said some of these costs have just gone up very astonishingly. So he gave me a new cost estimate, and I think with the steep grant that we have and the financing that we've already provided, we would need to do a little more to get this job done, but we'll talk to the Board of Finance about that. And we have not yet received the steep money, so that will come, and that in conjunction with the town funding should make the project continue.
So I just want to get this straight, because there's steep grants, and that's going to expire, is it July 31st or August?
August, yeah. So we're asking for an extension of that.
Has that gone into them?
Not yet, but that's in the works.
And then we budgeted $55,000. And then we have an ARPA grant for $55,000.
There's a $60,000 capital this yeher, and then there was prior money which went for engineering and all the application stuff, and there's about $105,000 left of that. So.
And then where does the ARPA money come in?
I don't think we have any ARPA money for this.
I think you do.
I don't.
I thought we did $55,000 for.
That's for Swan Brook. The 55.
Okay. I could have sworn we also did some Ferry Road.
And so, while we would have $126,000 on the income side of the budget, we would need to have probably $91,000 on the town side to make everything right. So between the steep money coming in and the town money, there'd be we'd be repaying ourselves a little bit of what we have paid.
But we are going out to bid on this, right?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Then turning to the Swan Brook itself, the Macknick Brothers has completed the wood crib, and so that job is now complete. There was some thought to having a camera go up each pipe to check whether the seams between the pipes were holding such that there'd be no sand getting into the pipe. Now, we know sand comes into the front of the pipe because of the tide and the wind and so forth. So the problem has been in the past that the west pipe has been blocked with sand, and the east pipe runs. They're 36-inch, so they're pretty good-sized pipes. And the flow of the Swan Brook, unless it's really a good rain event, is not sufficient to blow the sand out. We're hoping with the restoration of the crib that there'll be less tendency for the sand to accumulate in the pipe. So we'll have a conversation about what we might do to try to have the flow move the sand out, and then maybe that'll stay out of the pipes. But usually if there's a pretty good sized rain, there should be enough head pressure with the water to push the sand out. So we're working on that. If we wanted to have the camera do the video inside the pipe, it would be necessary to have them both clean. Now the company that came down and cleaned out the west pipe and actually a little bit of the east pipe, one option is to have them do essentially what they did again, although I don't think the blockage is as significant as it was. So we'll get some advice on that. Either we use the same procedure to clean out the pipe, or we maybe with a good rainstorm try to force both pipes to clean themselves out. We'll see. But hopefully the crib will do what it did in the past and keep it relatively clean and no more backing up.
But we did vote to do the camera.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But we if he comes down to do it, at that point we have to have it cleaned out. So either we try to, if I was thinking if we put some sort of a cover over the pipe on the north side and direct the water into the other one, maybe that would naturally push the sand out. So, but I'm not a hydrologist, I don't know. So we'll get an idea. Worst case, he could repeat what he did before, and he did it in a day, cleaning out the large obstruction. So I think it would be easier with what is in there at this point.
And under budget too.
Oh yeah.
So there is additional money for cleaning.
Right. So that is an option. And then once he's got it clean, he could immediately run the camera. And then if it accumulates a bit later on, at least we know from the camera what's what. So that's a task we need to do.
Okay.
Okay, Tanamahaig. We had, Mr. Frampton addressed us, and I think that the statement that he made that they own the land and that there is no road is contrary to what our council has been telling us. And so I think what was proposed is that if there was to be access, it would be pedestrian only, and no vehicles would come in to either drop a kayak or a small boat, and there'd be no somebody that was handicapped wanted to come down and look over the scene, they would not be able to come in and do that. So it would be a limited access, and so I think that we know where each other's positions are, and I think we will have to evaluate where we are, and we understand George's position on this, and so I guess it'll be up to us to decide what we're going to do. We were hoping for some sort of a compromise in terms of limited vehicular access and so forth, but that seems not to be possible, so we will need to caucus and figure out what to do. Next is 36 Button Ball. We have, the committee did put together a report which will be coming to the Board of Selectmen. Essentially, the committee is in favor of having a dock, if it is to be permitted, to cross over the marsh and to get out to a floating dock. It'd be about a 100-foot dock going across the marsh, and then you'd go down a slope, ramp down to a floating dock that would be, I think, 10 by 10. There'd be observation platforms at either end of the walkway, 10 by 10. So people who want to just go out there and have a look, they could do that. And there would be fencing along the edge of the marsh otherwise, so that people would hopefully respect that and stay off the marsh. And there'd be parking probably for 7 or 8 vehicles and a drop area where they could get close to the dock and put their boat on the ground, park the car, come back, go out and go kayaking. In the budget, we're proposing some initial money in fiscal 24 and then more money in fiscal 25. And the initial funds would be to enable permits to be secured and engineering drawings and so forth to be made and submitted to the DEEP. So I think that's been fairly represented, what I've reported, Mr. Chairman. Do you want to have...
Come up and just add to that.
Oh, good.
I think...
This is Fred Barringer, Chairman of the Buttonball Road Committee.
Yeah, I think you summarized just about all the key points.
He did send
Yeah.
the recommendation.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add to that is that the committee also recommended shared management of the property going forward, that harbor management and open space contribute based on their resources and expertise. So I'd like to also emphasize that the committee voted unanimously on the recommendation that was on March 14th, and I sent the recommendation to all 3 of you shortly after that with the supporting documents.
Now, would it be that, let's say in the new fiscal year when there would be some additional funding available, do you think that there'd be an engineering firm or some professional that would actually draw the dock and all the technical drawings and so forth for the submission? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I believe harbor management, now provided you all go with the recommendation, that's the intention, to let harbor management pursue the plans so that we can see if it can be permitted. Hopefully it can be.
Yeah.
And, it's feasible financially. The other thing I wanted to mention too is it may take time. It will take time to put a dock up, and in the meantime, the commissions are going to work to make sure that the property is accessible to the public for walking or watching, that sort of thing.
And this initial funding might also enable the putting up the fence at least, so that would set the tone.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the funding. That's going to be up to the commissions and what the board approves, but the commissions want to do that.
Yeah, because I've seen in the past where submissions to the DEP are pretty technical, and so it might be, I don't know if these what we saw is sufficient in terms of that, or whether they'd have to have stamped engineering documents that would, just like any construction project, we'll see.
I think that's up to harbor management to take care of, and
Yeah.
confidence they'll do that. So,
Good.
I do have a hard copy of the signed recommendation and supporting documents I can leave with you.
Okay.
It sounds like you've read it already.
Yeah.
It's all here. And,
Good. All right, thank you.
I just await further instructions if the committee can be done with its charge or not, and how to wrap up. Good. So, any other questions?
No. Jim, do you want us to vote on this today?
Well, if you've all,
We've been at the meetings, we know what
I
the
think
progress
we're
they've made. I don't want to stall it anymore. I want to keep it moving, so.
yeah, I think,
And I did want to add, I wanted to thank you for all being part of the meetings going forward, listening, contributing, and also want to thank all the members of the committee for hanging in there since July to work out the issues.
yeah.
We haven't built the dock yet, but we've built some bridges.
You're right. It's true. Well, I know it's been emotionally charged, and congratulations to all for coming together with a unified approach here. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you see the document for a second? I forgot to bring mine. So I guess I'll make a recommendation to approve the 36-1 Button Ball Committee's recommendation to Old Lyme Board of Selectmen for property at 36-1 Button Ball.
Okay, a motion to approve the recommendation.
Yep.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there additional discussion?
I just want to thank all of those that have done this, because I know there were people at the meetings, but I know there were a lot of people behind the scenes that were doing their homework and getting things done so that we could move forward. So I do appreciate that greatly.
Okay, let's vote on it. All in favor to approve the recommendations as submitted by the Button Ball Road Committee? Say aye. Aye.
So now here's the question, do we not disband the committee, but we say that effective certain date that their charges, and then it's between harbor management, open space, to have a subcommittee to work together to move forward? I don't think the Button Ball Committee really, needs to continue, so that's a separate motion, I guess.
Do we need to do a subcommittee, or can we allow both?
I think they can work that out between them. I think it was part of their agreement, I think, to have a subcommittee between the commissions, I think, wasn't it?
If I can speak to that.
Yeah.
That's part of the recommendation.
Right, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Form subcommittees is needed to carry this.
Yeah, it was a general, it was in there.
Okay.
So,
Well, I know that the Board of Finance has been asked to include funding in the next 2 fiscal years, so that hopefully will be a good first step. And so why don't we try to talk about who might serve on another committee, really, which would be akin to a building committee to move the thing along.
I think that would be between open space and harbor management. So
I agree.
what's the process to not just ban, but to just say, unless he has to do a presentation to the Board of Finance, we can't really necessarily disband it yet, but.
I don't think the Button Ball Committee has to do a referendum, because basically the funding is in each individual commission's budget, so for what they're going to do. So I think that they're going to work together, and if there's a problem, come back and see us.
I think it's in the charge. It's in their recommendation. If there's any issues, they come back to the Board of Selectmen, so.
So I don't think we have to do anything
So,
on our part.
I guess make a motion to effective immediately, the 36-1 Button Ball Committee.
Could we vote on the last one?
Yeah,
Okay.
We haven't actually, let's see, it was unanimous.
we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 36-1 Button Ball Committee is
Disbanded?
disbanded or uncommissioned or?
Yeah.
Retired.
Retired. It's as effective as of today.
Yeah,
I'll second that.
and thank you for everyone's service on that committee.
He disbanded.
Just retired. No pension, though.
Yeah. Okay, so motion is to disband 36-1 Button Ball Committee. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, we thank all the members for their hard work on that, and I'm sure we'll see some of them in the future on this next stage. Next up, we have the Shoreline Gateway. If there's an update?
No report.
No report. Very good. The next item is the Miami Beach Association proposal for Pond Road. There was a meeting in Soundview attended by some Miami Beach representatives, as well as some selectmen and the Officer Solari from the police, and Ed Adante from Public Works to talk about a proposal that had to do with Pond Road. And essentially, Miami Beach would like to have a most of Pond Road revert from being with an agreement to allow traffic and so forth use Pond Road to circulate. They would like to have the southern portion of the road, or a good percentage of it, be a private way, and then possibly the town would allow a second road to be directly north of that for vehicle circulation, so that probably more than half of the road would be used for this private idea, and then just to the north there would be the new Pond Road, if you will, that would go east and west the way it does, but probably taking up 15 or 20 feet of the town parking lot. Another idea would be to have the Pond Road cross through the lot on the north end of the lot between Hartford and Portland. So we listened to the proposal, and so there's a lot more to look into here. There's been no decision. There are some phone poles on the north side of Pond Road that would need to be considered, and just the whole idea of what the consequence would be to the parking lot itself. There is a written agreement in 1997 that allows vehicular and pedestrian access on Pond Road, so that is a written agreement that is in existence. So there was no decision to do anything at the meeting, but it was at least something to consider, so that's where we are. I know Mr. Popolari, so we're speaking about Soundview. We could maybe have a motion to add Mr. Popolari to address us about the Soundview Beach Committee, Commission, I guess. Either one, you're on both.
So make a motion to add Soundview Beach Committee, Frank Capolato, to the agenda as
Is it the committee or the?
Commission, sorry.
Yeah.
As letter F under old business?
New business would be under new.
Oh, new business.
Yeah, I guess that would be appropriate. New business.
Sorry.
I will second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We're putting it as a new business?
We're going to move it to A and move everything else down.
Yeah, well, first item under new business.
Thank you.
Good.
So at the last commission meeting, a proposal was made by Tom Larson from Just Dump It to install these items here on Soundview Beach. And what basically it is, I guess he was down at Hilton Head and he saw the sign with these baskets hung off the sign, and take a basket. If you see trash along the way, pick it up, empty the basket in the receptacles, and return the basket. So Just Dump It, his company, would fund it completely. And we talked it over at the Soundview Commission meeting. We thought that we could give it a try. It doesn't really cost us anything, and it might actually be a nice benefit for a variety of reasons. Number one, keep our beach a little cleaner. Number two, it shows some community support from some of the local businesses, which we might be able to build upon in the future. Of course, if it doesn't work, we just take these things down. I know that President of Miami Beach looked at this also. He'd like Miami Beach to be part of this also. He's looking at it with his board of governors. So the Soundview Commission agreed that we should move this forward. I brought it to the Soundview Advisory Committee, Operations Advisory Committee. Once again, we discussed it there, discussed the pros and cons, and believe that it would be a good opportunity for us to give this a try and see if it works. So, because it involves a donation to the town and private enterprise, we have to bring it to the Board of Selectmen for approval. So that's why we're here.
Do you have any idea how many you'd like to purchase or him to get, or is there like a...
Well, we talked maybe 6 per pole, something of that nature. Of course, he's going to be buying them with the name Just Dump It on it, sponsored by Just Dump It. The Soundview Commission would have a final review on what the sign would say, obviously, and what the baskets would look like and things of that nature. These baskets aren't very expensive, so we talked about bags, we talked about baskets, we talked about buckets. You know, I think that's kind of down the road a piece, but he would have extras if they get lost or stolen or damaged. He could put them extras out. And like I said, if it doesn't work, or if we're finding that these baskets are showing up on Shore Road and everywhere else, then we just abandon the idea and take the poles down. So talking maybe 2 poles, one at the Hartford Avenue entrance and one at the Swan Avenue entrance.
Mm-hmm. What are we going to do with them at night?
They'll just remain there. They'll just remain there. Once again, we have to think better of our clientele, and we have to start hoping that our clientele is moving towards a little bit more community-oriented. I know in past years we've seen ebbs and flows of various clientele down there, and hopefully this would be something we could see if we're actually moving in the right direction. It's a little test program for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a nice gesture. I guess time would tell if it works or not. Yeah.
So hoping to get approval from the Selectmen to allow us to give Tom Larson the go-ahead to come up with some prototypes and return to the Soundview Commission.
Town seal on it with his name, or
we could do whatever if you'd like the town seal with his name on it, sponsored by Just Dump It. I think that's a doable thing too. So that
Soundview Beach.
Soundview Beach, we could do a variety of things. Once again, I did talk to Tom, and the final.
The only thing is, the more you personalize it, the more it's a collector item too.
I can't imagine anybody's going to want a basket.
A collector item.
Turn around and see it in Big Y and someone's shopping.
Well, the more obvious it is where it came from, the more obvious it'll be if we see it at Big Y. So that'd be, hey, you, what are you doing with that basket? So.
I think if they were bright orange, it would.
Bright orange. We talked about orange, Tom. I think we'll have to discuss that.
And if they get taken out in the waste, then they're easier to spot. Yeah, green pretty is the same.
I don't know.
We could.
I was at the meeting. I love this idea. It's one of the things that I've talked about.
Something creative and new.
Exciting and new.
I make a motion to try this pilot program with Just Dumping sponsoring these, I guess, what do we call them? Cleanup
baskets.
Cleanup baskets and posts on the Soundview Beach area.
Yeah. I'll second it.
Good. Other discussion? Yeah, I think probably a standout color would be good. And if it was being taken away, people who were from the area would know that it belongs on the pole or on the beach, and it shouldn't be headed toward the parking lot.
Well, and I think it's important to put on there for the legal side of it is it says property of. So if you'd say that's his property, you're not entitled to it. Like someone says, oh, I just found this. If you had something on there that says property of, and you can make it enforceable. You know what I'm saying?
So we'll work with Tom to come up with some ideas and some prototypes and get them, go through the commission, approve everything, and then bring you up what we think should be a final design for it. But obviously we'll work with the Operations Advisory Committee and hopefully kind of get this thing moving. Obviously the time is short to get everything put together, so that's why we wanted to get on today's meeting. So.
I just really appreciate Tom thinking out of the box, come up with an idea that solves a problem, that will possibly solve a problem.
Thank you. I mean, and I appreciate the commission's open-mindedness. I just I was in Silicon Valley, South Carolina, and there's countless amounts of beaches and they're absolutely pristine. So I hope that one day our beaches could be the same.
Yeah.
So like I said, it'd be great, hopefully people see sponsored by, and maybe other businesses will take the lead and want to sponsor something else that could be positive for the area.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Shark Tank here, you know?
You guys aren't as vicious.
We haven't been to too many commission meetings sometimes.
I give you $20 for the
I'm not sure we voted.
No, first and second, and we didn't vote.
Any other points before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Well, Tom, thank you.
Is there anything else you need from me?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
And I guess that'll go along with a little reconfiguration of the end of Hartford Avenue.
In Hartford Avenue, I just need to get with Public Safety to okay that, and Matt Weber and I have been missing each other, so maybe you and I could meet someday down there.
Sure.
It's pretty simple.
Okay.
So the center of the sound view of the end of the beach, we're going to just take a couple of the center rocks out, just move them back maybe 10, 15 feet so vehicles could still get in there in an emergency, but it'd create a barrier in case somebody goes down the end of the street.
Gotcha.
We have the two side trash containers. Actually, this is like what they'll look like, you know, the sides of them.
Okay. Yep.
This is like a cedar.
Yeah, it's a cedar. It's a clear vertical grain cedar. We're having discussions of whether we should stain it or just natural. I talked to the clear coat it. The fellow that's doing it actually does a lot of Adirondack chairs, and he's done a lot of research on which clear coats will work the best. And he's also using 316 stainless steel hardware because he does a lot of beach.
So this is the end of it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
It's open on the
Yep.
top?
It's going to be open on the top and the bottom. And it basically is just a square box. Open on the top and the bottom.
And it will contain
Four. We'll be able to put 4 55-gallon drums in it, which is larger than the containers we have now. And that so it gives us 8 containers. So put one on the east side and the west side of Hartford Avenue. So that kind of opens up that vista, that front vista. We take the cans that are already on Hartford Avenue, the cement ones. We can move those to the parking lot and up and down the street so we can add more cans in the area to help to keep the trash down. And then last year we purchased new beach rule signs, much smaller, 3x3. And we just need to decide where to put those, probably just in the ways a little bit so you don't confronted with this gigantic billboard when you come down the street. The billboard served its purpose for a number of years, but now I think we can move on to something a little smaller. And the new signage has all the rules and regulations that the police have asked us to include, like no tents and no smoking and a variety of other things that we've had to have all these little signs, pop-up signs all over the place for.
Yeah.
So.
And how many benches are we going to have?
I budgeted for 5 of them. 5 or 6. I forgot what the budget number was. I budgeted for 5 or 6. I think the Board of Finance has approved that capital expenditure.
Not yet.
Was it 2? I could have 22.
$2,700.
3,200. Maybe it was $2,700. Yeah.
$27.50.
$2,750. And I think that was for.
And is that enough for 5?
Yeah, actually, I got a good price on them, and I told when I got the quote, I said, budgeted for a purchase next year, because I got this quote last year. I said, give me a price for what it's going to be in July of 2023.
20% more.
And they said the only thing they couldn't budget for was the transportation.
$750 a piece.
Okay.
I'm 5, yeah.
5 to $750 a piece.
Okay, so, and are these the same type that we had before with the concrete ends?
No, they're a plastic composite.
Like a track kind of thing?
It's like a Trex. They're the same benches that Old Colony's had in place for 7 years now.
Okay.
So we have a track record. We have history. Doug suggested them at an advisory committee meeting. I got a hold of the company. I looked at what they had. We decided on a design. The same benches that Old Colony has. They're heavy. I did plan on some anchors for them too as part of the budget process. So if we had to anchor them, we could. But they've been holding up quite well in Old Colony, being on the sand for 7 years, so hopefully they'll hold up for us too. They're kind of a brown, dark brown. You can't get them any other color.
You can't get gray?
I don't know, maybe gray, I don't know.
Don't get brown.
How about orange? They're wood. It's a wood color. But, so hopefully we'll get those.
Not a park.
So we'll hopefully have.
Stephanie, please cover.
We can discuss color. We haven't bought them yet, and haven't been approved yet.
Can we see the color?
Well, certainly.
So, would this wood go all the way around?
Yes, all the way around. So it'd be 4 sides, and one side actually is 2 doors that open up.
Right,
so
see
Public
that.
Works can get in.
This what, like 3.5 feet tall or something?
It's the height of a 55-gallon drum.
60 inches.
No, it's 60 inches by about 36, I think.
36 tall.
About 36 tall.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do actually is I'm bringing a drum to the guy who's building it. I said, so there's no possibility.
I bet a 55 is taller than this.
4 in a
No,
row?
actually, 4 in a square.
In a square, so 2 and 2.
2 and 2 on each side of the road. So the trash cans should be in this little enclosure, so it'll look a little nicer. More accessible, look nicer. We don't see trash cans. And if somebody's going to throw something that doesn't fit in the trash can, it'll get thrown into the bin. Doors open up, Public Works can easily access it.
So do they have the top which has a flipper or something? You put stuff in it? Or?
Well, we're not buying the drums. We just use the drums that the town has, and it's got the dome top with the...
Keep the seagulls out of it and all.
Seagulls out. So this will be the height of the drum itself, and then the dome top will just be sticking out of it.
Right.
And we can paint it whatever color you'd like. So
good.
I'll go get a can of Krylon and do it myself. So.
Yeah. You gotta think a little bit more about, watch some HGTV, will you?
So after 3 years of trying to get a contractor to build these, because everybody's been busy, I finally found somebody who will do it, and I signed the agreement last week, brought it up to finance. They signed off, and I've been carrying over this funding for the last 3 years, and Nicole said, you got to use it. I can't keep carrying it over. So we're under control.
Just out of curiosity, there's no floor in it, right?
No.
So how do you make this good and firm without cross members or something?
I think I can put some gussets in it. I didn't ask the construction technique, but he was very familiar with what we're looking for. So it could be angle brackets. It makes some pretty significant angle brackets to keep that. We don't want a floor in it. We might put a little gusset on the bottom portion of it. I also want to build it up maybe an inch, put it up maybe an inch, like on a piece of 2x4 pressure treated on the corners, so that water can pass underneath it in the wintertime. We get it strong. I don't want this thing to float away. So,
well, these to be removed in the winter.
How do you think these are going to be? They should be removed for the winter,
yeah, they
so that they stay nicely.
Well, they're going to be pretty heavy.
Well, they need to get picked up and
They're
put
pretty
in for
heavy.
Public Works. They should
Yeah,
not be.
you don't want to leave them out over.
If Ed's got the facility to do it, that'd be great. Or maybe we just cover them with something. Maintain it, cover. We could even shrink wrap them for that matter. The first step is let's get them in place to see how they work, and we can decide how heavy they are. So, but he's building the panels in his shop, and then actually he doesn't have a truck, so I'm bringing my flatbed over to pick them up for him, and then delivering them to the beach, and then he's going to assemble them at the beach. So,
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you now.
All right, under new business, the next one is notification of a possible federal grant for the Emergency Operations Center expansion. I think the selectmen may have seen a presentation or two about this, but what's contemplated is that this would be about a 1,400 square foot addition to the Boughton Road Fire Station. It would be out slightly off-center, coming out toward the street, out in front of the parallel to the bay, and that the size and all the particulars are not totally finalized, but this is concept. And so Senator Chris Murphy has apparently identified and is lining up a grant that would give us a 75% of the project total. The town share would be 25%. And that would include construction, furniture, fixtures, and equipment in it, and the design work. All that needs to be confirmed. So that federal share, I think, translates to, well, I guess the total estimated cost, if you can believe it, is about $1,020,000, of which the feds would do $708,750, and the town would be $236,250 on the 75/25, and then to complete the source of money, the town would kick in an additional $75. Now, because the furniture fixture amount is reimbursable, that 75 that we're putting in could be counted as a share toward that, and we would be reimbursed for that according to our emergency management director. So we'll have to see how all this fleshes out, but it would be pretty good if we could get it for that type of investment. I know up there when we have the nuclear drills or hurricane preparation and so forth, the space that they operate in is very limited. And there's a communication room, and then there's a slightly larger room, but it is very, very tight. So this would be wonderful to have a larger room, which also could be used by the fire department for training and drills and so whatever they might do. So very early stage on that, but in the town budget there'll be some initial money for the design part of it to start that, and then we'll get more clarity as that moves forward.
So I don't know if Dave's going, but I'm going to the Connecticut EMS Symposium. Which is on April 25th.
Oh, that's
the
what?
day-long thing.
Oh.
EMS.
The up and that CCM's putting on?
I believe it is CCM that's hosting it.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's a good show.
We didn't have any blizzards, maybe. Just want to get my education up to date. There's a hurricane.
Concerning the electric rates, everyone knows that the electric rates jumped mightily if you're a Eversource customer. So after working with the intermediary, we have been able to secure 0.10741 cent rate, down from 23.
Can you say that again?
It's 10.741 cents. 0.10741.
For how long?
For 31 months, which gets us on a common maturity with the school and the library. So the Youth Service Bureau has joined us in this.
What was the original rate? I'm sorry.
Say?
What was the original rate? 21 cents?
It had jumped through.
It went to 20, I think it's 21 cents is the Eversource rate, which is substantially above most of these offerings. So I maybe they have to do green power and stuff, and that drives their rate up. I'm not sure why their rate's so high.
So, Tim, by putting it on common maturity with the schools, then what we're thinking in 31 months, we all go together.
Right.
In one to bundle our.
Yeah, he's the broker for the school, so.
Okay, great.
We'll be watching the store.
Is that the guy that got back to us? Is it Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
P-O-G-S.
Yeah. He did a good job at checking 4 different vendors. This is First Point Power. So.
Okay. That's excellent. Great.
Good.
Do we have to authorize you to sign anything, or?
Now, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then, let's see. We're all set to work with CWPM on the contract renewal for the refuse and recycling removal. So that will take us for 4 years. Board of Finance was on board with that, so we're instituting that. And last but not least, we took possession of a new John Deere loader. It's a big one. It's a 410L backhoe loader. We actually placed the order months ago, I think nearly a year ago, I guess June of last year, so maybe 9 months, and it just arrived. So, and they took in trade the old Volvo loader that we had. So the trade was a very good number according to Ed. So we're set for that. It was a huge delivery time frame for these. So I think that covers the agenda. We can consider other business that selectmen may have.
A couple things I had was the tax assistant. I think her extension has expired, so we need to extend her again. I don't know if you had any more talks with Judy, tax collector, about what she's looking for the future, but I know July is going to be a busy month.
Yeah.
I mean, I pop it in here and there. I haven't really worked. We've been December, January, February are good. I was going to come in with March stuff and just look at a couple things, but I know Judy wants to cut her hours back a little bit, and I know Suzanne is willing to work whatever hours to accommodate.
Well, I know that the...
How many hours did Judy want to cut back?
No, I
Did you
just
want
meant...
to cut back her own hours? Or
No, just because it slows down now and then it picks up again in June.
Well, that's been the case for years. There's a real peaks and valleys to that assistant position, and Judy and I sat down with a calendar one time and just worked out.
Right.
I know the prior person had some child care issues and so forth, so that was another issue, but I think that should be fine.
Right.
It's not new ground.
She's at, how many hours a week now? She's at like 20 hours a week now, right?
Might even be less.
Okay. Well, I think we should just approve up to 20 hours a week for, through the end of May until we get that position posted and do the official thing,
So there's two ways to do this. Legally, we're supposed to post.
Right.
Because she is filled in, we could make a motion to not post and extend it to her because she has done such a good job for us, but the hours would be reduced or would have to further make a new...
I think there is already a schedule for flexible hours to reduce them at this time of the year, and then when you get into late June, you're right back.
But when you signed the contract with her, it was for an interim position, wasn't it?
Through the 31st of March, so it's on borrowed time, but...
I mean, you could ask her...
And I don't know if she wants...
No, I guess we could extend it through April and then review the flow of the hours and see if she's...
Because we thought we would post it with the new requirement, which would be either you have the certification or you don't. If you don't, you need to, within a reasonable time, acquire.
Right, and I did send that to you, the wording, and I did send it to Katie, but I can follow up. I think.
And he asked if I would start getting things posted.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't we extend it through April here, and then we can get it posted and hopefully see who's out there, and then we have Suzanne, not Suzanne McCall, but Suzanne Thompson, who is the incumbent.
All right. So make a motion to extend the tax assistant position through the end of April.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The other thing I had was we have to really sit down and figure out this town accreditation stuff for the police department. Trooper Weber had emailed us
He sent some, have you been through this when you were?
Well, basically it's saying that per the state police, the resident trooper isn't required to be the one to do the accreditation because it's considered town employees. So we're doing it in Deep River as we speak. It should be done by the end of the year, 12/31/2023. But most of the stuff is already in place. It's just maybe getting some assistance from surrounding towns as far as what they did. And I think we either need to sit down with the PD guys and see who would volunteer to maybe one of the officers to do the accreditation process for us and get the paperwork together.
Does this look like a huge project or what?
I mean, it takes some time.
So would there be, we might have to possibly create a stipend for this project?
Potentially,
Because it's going to take them, and I think we should do it as stipend, not
right.
perhaps at their hourly wage.
Or we could, there is other people outside of our PD that I know a couple of retired people that are doing it for some other towns.
Oh, yeah?
Like Essex is a retired lieutenant from the state police, and he's also a retired Essex officer, so they hired him back just to do this. I can get some costs associated with that. It shouldn't be substantial because he's not reinventing the wheel, he's just making it.
Is this under post?
This is a requirement for post under the new police accountability law.
And how often is that?
No, this is once you get a credit. I don't know how long the accreditation, I don't have the term, if it held 5 years or 10 years, but it's new. But I can get those details. So I'll work on getting the details on that and maybe some costs associated with getting it done.
How much time it would take.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 things I had.
I've got a couple of things.
Okay.
Just along the lines of tax collector and town clerk, I did pull out our ordinances. We have talked about this for a couple of months of making these positions employees, not elected positions. I did reach out to Lyme because Kim, you told me that they changed theirs. I did not get a response from any of the elected
I'll get
people.
that done then.
Okay, so these are ours. And I didn't know if you wanted Jack to write something up to change the ordinance. If you want me to, I'm happy to reach out to him and CC you both.
Let me see if I can get something from Lyme, and we could also ask CCM if they have in their library ordinances for this. You could call Brian West, our contact at CCM, because they have
ordinances. Do you want me to contact CCM, or do you want to do it?
I'll call Brian West, okay, so this would be the...
And if we do decide to change this as we could get it on the, put it with the, like a town vote, like in here, or is it like a referendum?
No, it would be a town meeting. You have to, just like when you do an ordinance.
So we have to...
Yeah.
It would just be nice to move before we start election.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, the other thing, a banner for the senior class. Last year, as you remember, we wanted to put the banner out. Ed brought it, pulled it out. It didn't have numbers that you could do whatever. So Ed took it out. So it is no longer in our possession. Sorry. Sophie Marsh mentioned that she could do it with Velcro very heavy-duty Velcro numbers so that we could reuse it year after year, but we have to pay for a new banner.
It's usually quite fair about that sort of thing.
What's the cost?
I don't know. I didn't ask her, but I can
I got a kid graduating. I love supporting anybody in school, so I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Well, I think it's something nice. We're a small town. I think it's nice. I was up in.
And there's plans to do that same parade this year, so it would be nice to have it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or get it up soon so they can, because it's coming right around the corner.
She has the wording and everything from the other one, right?
I think she's the one who did the original one for you.
Yeah,
right? So I can reach out to her and ask her, but tell her that we want reusable numbers to take it to $20.99.
Yeah.
'Cause she was saying you just up the numbers that need to come off as opposed to the Velcro, so I don't know what
I don't know what she's got. She mentioned something to Ed about peeling on or peeling off, but I'll reach out to Sophie and see what she can do. Okay. That was one thing. HR, just to say that Matt and I are having a meeting tomorrow with someone that Pat McHale recommended. Marchant gave me the name of a group. When I looked it up on the thing, it said permanently closed, but then she sent me another number which is not the number that's on their website. So I'm going to use that number to call the person, contact at that as well. And then we can talk to them again.
Okay.
Matt and I can set that up. Let's see. Also, just both of you were not at the meeting for the Soundview Operations Committee, but I know that it was brought up as to when was the Soundview Operations Committee voted into place, because they weren't sure it was done at a Soundview Commission meeting, and they're not sure that it was done at a Board of Selectmen meeting.
Okay.
It kind of appears. Then the legality of everything that's happened, where is it? Also, I do want you to know that on the new website, it's not listed. I did talk to Katie Balaka about that. Would also have to be, is this something that's coming under Soundview as a subcommittee? And if so, then how do we do that on the...
I have a feeling the selectmen were involved, but it might be...
I don't remember voting on it. I just remember being invited to a meeting.
It might be best to have a selectman appointment as opposed to a clone of the commission.
Well, that's a possibility. So I think we should do... It's hard right now to go back to the website to do research. I found it the other day, and then I tried to find it again today to pull it up, and I couldn't find it again today. So maybe we could go back to some of our minutes.
Yeah.
Go back to it's actually in my book.
Was that started in November of 2021? Like, no, right soon after we got in the office, I thought. November or December, or maybe in January.
Yeah, it was...
Pretty early on.
I think it was March.
That late?
It went by so fast.
So it seemed like they were meeting every week for a while there.
Yeah. Yeah, because we felt like we got a late start.
Right.
So I'll look, but I don't recall Tim saying that we voted on it. So we have to follow the legal role and get started.
Frank is the chairman, so he is a little, he doesn't remember.
I didn't ask him. He didn't say. It was public comment. He didn't respond to it because he's not supposed to. So He did what he was supposed to. I also want to discuss the finance director on family medical leave. But the treasurer of the town of Old Lyme, Michael Ryder, and I searched for and have identified a qualified temporary director who would be part-time to serve as the finance director for Old Lyme. This person would fill the critical void of a town finance director that has existed since our finance director took a medical leave of absence in late February. It is, of course, a critical position for the town in managing its finances, especially while its budget is being developed. And at this point, we're kind of at the end, and Matt, I appreciate everything you've done, but there are some things that are going to have to be into the BMSI program that I think requires a specialty. We must also be aware that our ARPA federal funding reporting is also expected in April. And if we're late in reporting on that, we could have faced very strong financial consequences to this town. Tim, I've got to say that I was kind of surprised that you hadn't notified the town treasurer until a check bounced, that the finance director, our town treasurer, that the finance director was out on family medical leave. I was very shocked when he called and said, I was not notified. But I think we've got to get someone involved to manage the situation. Michael Ryder can still move the money. He should be the only one to do that at this point.
Yeah, he's doing it.
But I know that. But to mitigate further problems, but we need somebody to come in on a daily or every other day. And the person we have found, which I will be more than happy to provide both of you the information. I don't want to do it publicly.
Yep.
And whatever. We have to pursue this replacement. And again, Matt, you know that I think that you have all the accounting skills necessary, but...
Oh, no, I don't have time to enter. I'm helping with the budget.
Right.
I do have the BMSI skills, but I don't have time to give any more time than I'm already giving.
Right. So we have to be transparent. We are the town. We have a fiduciary responsibility to this town.
I completely agree.
We don't want anything to happen that will affect our bond rating and our credibility. So I hope that we can get this done by the end of the week, because that ARPA funding needs to come out, and to do that, the person who is a retired finance director for town nearby said they're going to need a sign-in, because Nicole is not going to want her to sign in on Nicole, because it's not Nicole doing, but she's going to have the accepted secondary person.
Well, maybe OPM would assist in that task.
There's a website you have to go to, but I believe that we're going to have to get...
right, I don't think Nicole's the only one listed on there, so we have to find out who else is listed, which...
I think for the reporting part, it is only Nicole. I don't know how she signed up, but we'll have to find out.
Right, I think something has to come from someone else to authorize somebody else.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Right, according to...
Well, I would think it'd be someone else besides Nicole that can authorize somebody.
Yeah. Well, I can't
I don't
imagine.
know. We'll find out later.
Okay.
When we went through all those ARPA meetings, we talked about the fact that there were things that had to happen. Suzanne, you were on the committee.
So you want to set up a meeting with this person? You want to set up, I mean, we can meet because it's a personnel issue and discuss it. And I mean, how soon could this person start? And
I have all that information, but we have to act now.
I agree.
We've got to be proactive on this than reactive. Other things are going to come up.
Well, I have a list of all the entries that need to be put in. I just haven't done it yet because I was just waiting to see where we're going. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay,
So yeah, I think we set up a date this week to discuss it, and then maybe we can even do a phone interview or whatever we need to do and put something in place.
Okay, we did that today.
Okay.
We did a little bit of a phone situation and to see what type of hours and funding.
Does the person, I mean, how many hours do you think they need?
They said that they could provide us with 15 to 20 hours a week.
That's reasonable.
And they also provided what they could do for financial.
Okay.
So we can discuss that in our personnel meeting, but I think we need to set that up as soon as possible.
I agree.
That's it for me.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay.
6:59.
Yeah. Go Huskies. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Thank you.